Hi, welcome to my fitness tips. I'm Jennifer Wagner with Collective Wellness. Today we're going to talk about how much is enough for strength training. So how many repetitions or reps to do. First thing that I want you to do is figure out what is your goal for strength training. Do you want to go more on the strength side of it, or do you want to go more on the endurance side? Strength training, the goal is to build muscle mass and to wear out those muscles quicker. So more weight, less repetitions. Endurance training is working those muscles for that longer, extended period of time, getting the longer, leaner look. Think about what goal you're wanting to do. And then the one number I'm going to give you is 10. That's the only number I'm going to give you, and I'll explain as we go along. But 10 is that number. It's kind of a nice cutoff between the two types of goals. When it comes to muscle mass and strength, you're going to use more weight, less repetitions. So you're going to stay around the 10 or under for repetitions. Endurance, you want to wear your muscle out long period of time, so you're going to go over the 10 repetition mark. Now, how many repetitions is going to be up to you and finding out what works best for you. The other thing is making sure that your form and technique is correct too, because that can make a difference. The biggest thing that I'm going to tell you is, and I tell this with all my clients, it's not about just how many you're doing, because every day could be different on how many you can get in. It's just the fact that you are wearing those muscles out to the point where you cannot do any more but still keep that form. We're going to use bicep curls as an example. I like to use as an example because you can see what's going on a little bit more. And this is also a very common exercise that people tend to throw their body or start compensating. You're getting to that point where you can't do any more and your shoulders are about to pop up, or you're about to throw your body to get into that last rep. That is where you're going to stop. You want to stop before all that happens, because you're going to hurt yourself. You're compensating the other muscle groups, and you're more likely to injure yourself. The other thing is that you have maxed out that muscle, and that's where you want to work. Now, if you are a number person, you're like, Jen, give me numbers, give me numbers. That is where I would say, go through a repetition, or first get a nice warm up in, then go through a full set. So that one set of your repetitions, and go to the point where you cannot do any more. Think about what your goal is still too. So do you need heavier weight or lower weight? But then play it around and see where you're at. Write that number down when you're done. That is the number that you're going to work towards the next time you do that exercise. You work that same muscle group. That is your goal. And then every other week, make some type of change between how much weight you're using, how many sets, how many repetitions. But either way, the rule is to really fatigue that muscle to the point where you cannot do any more. Now, if you're working on the strength end, you're going to have a longer rest period because you really maxed out in that way. But endurance side, you don't necessarily need to rest quite as much. But what I like to do is change up the muscle group. So if you did an upper body, then the next exercise is going to be a lower body, so that you're building in that rest period without actually having to stop and just kind of hang out and watch the clock and wait for that next round. So you can get a quicker workout in too. Make sure you learn the exercise, learn the technique, learn the form, learn what muscle groups you're working, what joints should be moving, and what joints should be stabilized, along with what muscles are your stabilizers. For example, we're going to go back to that bicep curl. The elbow joint is the only joint that is moving. A lot of times people, when they're formed, they start getting into that rocking motion. The shoulder starts moving, which should not be. Sometimes the wrist starts getting into there, which we don't want to be moving either. The wrist and the shoulder should be stabilized. Shoulders tend to compensate when you start getting tired. They will take over when the bicep gets tired. So keep that in mind of what joint should be moving and what joint should be stabilized. Next rule of thumb is to make sure that you give that muscle a day of rest. If you really maxed it out and you really trained it hard, give that day of rest. Do something else the next day. If you're not sure you're doing the exercise correct, hire somebody to teach you how to use them. So either a personal trainer that can work you through sessions, or somebody that at least takes you through the exercises at your gym if you go through that. Having a mirror nearby is also good so you can see your form. Okay, is my elbow in place? Shoulders are stabilized and I'm nice and tall. My posture is correct versus this type of movement that you may not realize. When it comes to body awareness, a lot of people do not have that, and it takes a lot to learn. It takes a while, along with learning how to contract those muscles too. That's what I've got for you when it comes to how much you should be doing for repetitions. I hope that answers your question. If you have any questions pertaining to it or any ideas for other fitness tips, go ahead and just leave those down below. And then if you want notifications for my next classes or fitness tips, just click on that little picture of me and you'll get the next one. Thank you for coming. Have a great day.